Yeah, that's definitely one of the big ones. What can happen a lot in this mode is you can end up stuck in as a bunny searching for the moon pearl around the light world, and it looks like we're off with SuperNinTaylor. So he elected to start in the Dark Chapel. We can see here we're in the Dark World, going up towards checking the bumper cave ledge, and you can actually pull this tree. But he might not know that. It's actually a tree pull, like in the normal randomizer in the light world. So if you were to use that sign and kill an enemy, you can get a tree pull there.
And just a big 20 up there on bumper cave ledge.
Yeah, so there are a few different starts that are becoming popular. People are still trying to figure out this inverted mode, but SuperNinTaylor here is doing one of them, which is go to this circle of pots here in Skull Woods. You can get some early bombs and magic for free. Quick death warp to make them respawn. And we see a lucky 8 bomb drop, so that might be good enough here for Taylor to continue on and check the chests here. So we do see the first item in Skull Woods happens to be a big 20. Taylor make a good use of the Death Warp to get back to the vanilla big key drop. He found a big key. This will make it a lot easier to check. Or making a fool out of me by coming up this way. Really confident with his bomb jump. Oh, and there we go. We're getting our first look here at Hitsuyan. He is at the archery game, which, you know, before inverted launch, you would have never seen any runner play this. But here we are. It's actually a pretty nice way to farm some rupees early. If you get 20, you can, if you know the setup, you can farm them pretty easily there. So Taylor grabbing this middle chest here in Skull Woods. It's a little bit tricky without any items, but he's doing a really great job getting it there. But all that just for a compass. So the good news for Taylor is he knows he doesn't have to come back to Skull Woods until he has the fire rod, and he did stock up on bombs, so he can get that south route done at some point soon. Oh, and we have the new icons there on the top of the stream. As we said off the top, this is a Ganon gold, so that's the first icon. This is inverted mode, so that's what the bunny signifies. The question mark, looks like a sword hilt. That means the swords are randomized, so it just means they're shuffled into the item pool like any other item. And the N stands for normal difficulty. Our friend in Hype Cave here has a sword for us. And we also get the flippers. So in inverted mode, the flippers actually are enough to give you access to Ice Palace. Now, he can't do much besides walk through the door right now, but it's very possible that he could find, say, the Bombos Medallion and end up having to go into Ice for progression. And Hitsuyan is retracing SuperNinTaylor's steps there in Skull Woods. We see that Stumpy just has a couple bombs. And Taylor does have 110 rupees, which will be enough to do the digging game and also the chess game. Those flippers also open up the start of Palace of Darkness, so he might maybe want to farm a little bit more here. You just keep digging, get your rupees up a little bit higher. And we do see that Hitsuyan is coming over here, maybe making his way to Pyramid and Palace of Darkness, opting to go there before checking out Village of Outcasts. That seems like a very reasonable play. It does seem like often is the case in Inverted. Following those early progression items seems to work out well. And as is often the case in Inverted, we see our runner with green mail, 1 heart, and just walking around the dark world and making sure to not run into anything. Meanwhile, Taylor's finding nothing but arrows in the Village of Outcasts so far. And the streak continues. Oh, but on Hitsuyan's side, we do find the glove on the pyramid. Right now, that opens up a catfish. If you add in the lamp, it will open up a few locations on Death Mountain.
Being early on without the lamp, though, I doubt he's going to want to sequence break and go up to Dark Death Mountain early.
Yeah, there isn't all that much you can do there, and if it's not where the progression is spawning you, it's not the probably not the priority. But we do see an item I called out a little bit ago, the Bombos medallion. So paired with those flippers, we're starting to get a little bit of a kit for Ice Palace here.
Ice Palace is definitely rearing its head in the logic, so it'll be interesting to see what type of progression we potentially get there.
Yeah, and even the gloves open up with the hammer some parts of Ice Palace. So that glove might actually be, Moon Pearl on Cold Stare, possibly.
And here we have Hammer on Catfish.
We have about a full Ice Palace kit now. So this is pretty exciting. So SuperNinTaylor making his way towards the back half of Thieves Town here. Hitsuyan doing the Village Outcast checks and likely being right behind him.
You have to think, with Catfish being so far away, will SuperNinTaylor go and make that play once he has completed Thieves Town as well?
Yeah, that's a really good point. He does have the knowledge of what's in Thieves Town, knowing that he has Bombos and can get in the door of Ice Palace at least. It might actually decrease the likelihood that he would go immediately to Catfish. And we haven't seen a map check yet, but we can clearly hear that the music here in Thieves Town is dependent music.
Just $100 in the bomb room.
So SuperNinTaylor does not have the hammer, but he has also not found the small key yet. So right now he's just hoping that he does not find the small key in the maiden's chest so he can continue on without having to leave an item behind. Hitsuyan, meanwhile, you know, he has that hammer. He doesn't really care where the small key ends up being today.
In inverted, it's always definitely something that weighs heavily on a runner's mind when you're inside Thieves Town trying to full clear when you do not have the hammer.
And we're seeing SuperNinTaylor here clear out this room in Thieves Town. That does open the door, and it's something that trips up a lot of newer people in Randomizer, but you do not need a glove to finish Thieves Town.
And there's that small key we were talking about. So now you got to wonder if SuperNinTaylor is considering, do I need the hammer and come back in here for that final item?
Yeah, and we see on Hitsuyan's side that he took a death, and I don't think it was intentional. So a little bit of a time loss. He wasn't too deep into the dungeon, though, but definitely something you don't want to see happen.
I'll tell you what I'm excited for. SuperNinTaylor's about to do a 3-heart blind fight. This is one of my favorite things about inverted mode. It really just shows who knows the pattern and who gets the best luck in this fight.
Yeah, and having a sword does make it a little bit easier. If he only had, well, he needs to have the sword here. If he had like the hammer, 3-heart blind is that's no joke.
And he handled that with absolutely no problems whatsoever.
And I believe that was the last item, so no worries about that chest. Leaving it behind, not a problem today.
Well, with Green Pendant in hand, as soon as he gets Light World access and goes over to the eastern side of Light World, we'll be able to see what Sahashala has for us.
So SuperNinTaylor has some options here. He could elect to go directly into Ice Palace, or he can continue on to the Pyramid, or go to Pod for that matter.
And it looks like he's definitely making that Ice Palace play. Probably hoping to find the hammer in here, but we already know that it's on Catfish.
And he gets a hint that might lead him in that direction when he finds the glove. So that's not the worst thing in the world. With the fishes, it applies to both Catfish and Zora. But if you have access to one of them early, you probably continue on to it. So that's probably a really great hint for him.
Yeah, definitely. That hint would have me questioning my my decision of coming into Ice Palace for sure.
Yeah, but, he doesn't have the glove yet, and he has no way of knowing that it's on the pyramid. It could be in the pod, pyramid, but it could be in this chest he's about to check. So, at this point, you got to continue on.
You're exactly right.
Wow, I thought he was going to get sniped from the back there, but he's turned around, got a swipe in, and got out the door okay. So that was a nice heads-up execution there.
He's definitely going to have to play it a little safer here, being at 1 heart, and I'm sure he's trying to farm a heart drop right here as well.
And meanwhile, Hitsuyan's almost done with Thieves Town, coming up on the blind fight for himself. We'll see how he handles it. Same situation as SuperNinTaylor.
Another good hint a unique item in plain sight. However, that really can apply to a lot of places. Desert Ledge, Zora Ledge.
Yeah,
I believe
and
that
it
also
probably
applies.
is actually the glove.
Most likely it is. Ice Palace telling you as you come in how to beat it.
Yeah, Hitsuyan had the fight get away from him a little bit, but was able to clutch it out with that 1 heart left. So no problem there, getting his green pendant. And he might be following SuperNinTaylor here into Ice Palace.
Ooh, and SuperNinTaylor takes a death here. That's gotta hurt.
Yeah, unfortunately, people are really used to doing the bomb jump, but if you don't have the hammer or the glove, the chance that you're going to get to finish a dungeon in this stip is really, really low. So there really isn't much value in doing the bomb jump. Just walk around, make it a little bit safer, and let you get every item.
Now it looks like we're going to get the pod play from Hitsuyan.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. It's an easier dungeon to check the first couple of chests than Ice Palace is, and for all we know, the progression is sitting here. So, we got a lot of items that point us towards Ice Palace, but that doesn't mean that the pearl couldn't be sitting over here in the first chest and pod.
You're absolutely right.
But this is inverted mode in a nutshell. You'll see runners, in sub 20-minute mark in these Dark World dungeons trying to find that next piece of progression to get to the Light World, and not finding any hearts before having to do it is also pretty common.
Oh, and there's the hook shot. Hitsuyan just picked that up in that first chest in pod.
That is an entire Ice Palace kit. So our progression is here somewhere in Ice Palace. I mean, we already knew that, but given that they have everything they need to actually beat the dungeon, get Cold Stare, 3-heart Cold Stare coming up.
3-heart Cold Stare with Fighter Sword, and Hammer. Man, that sounds rough.
Yeah, and at this point, I actually kind of like what Hitsuyan's doing. It might be logically required Ice Palace, but now with the hook shot, there are actually, I want to say 8 items he has access to on Death Mountain. So even if he doesn't find progression, he could very easily find a couple hearts, which would make Ice Palace a lot easier.
Sometimes the progression you need is just a little bit of love, or a whole lot of love.
And we see a Master Sword in Ice Palace.
Over on Hitsuyan's side, you're seeing quite one of the big differences of inverted mode. You have to take the old man up the Death Mountain, the Dark Death Mountain, warp back into Light World, and jump down to his home.
Yeah, the old man rescue here is a little bit more convoluted, and you get to do some bunny traversal here. And SuperNinTaylor gets the big key here in the iced tea chest and has to go all the way back around to get to the big chest.
And Ether was on the old man. That's definitely going to increase our odds of having what we need to get inside of Mire or Turtle Rock if we need that front side entrance.
just have a small key here in the big chest. We get the hint, a unique item is on a boss. It's really looking more and more like Cold Stare to me. I don't know.
I'm with you on that one.
Now the good news is that Master Sword will make the potential early Cold Stare fight here a lot easier to deal with.
I'm sure he's probably still looking for the hammer inside of Ice Palace. The problem he's going to have is he cannot actually get to Cold Stare without that hammer.
Yeah, and actually a glove as well. One thing that you find out now in Inverted, and entrance players have known this for a while, is the same chests and item locations that are blocked by the hammer in Ice Palace are also blocked by a glove. So you need both to get through here.
And Hitsuyan doing a very nice job of clutching out a one-heart traversal around the two Lionels on top of Dark Death Mountain.
So close to getting that. Oh, we see...
And there's the Titan's Mitts.
Wow.
Inside Super Bunny Cave.
So that's a great item, but it actually doesn't do a whole lot for us yet. And actually in Inverted, depending on when you get Mire, those Titan Mitts might only block access to King's Tomb for you. There are a couple item locations that are jointly blocked by Mire or Mitts, such as the Hammer Pegs.
Seeing a few frustration slashes from Hitsuyan. And just a little bit of love coming out of Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, so Hitsuyan got up to 4 hearts now, but not all that much better than SuperNinTaylor's situation.
And we see Turtle Rock is Ether. Now, as we said earlier, you do not have to have it to get inside, because there's multiple ways of doing it in Inverted mode. But if he does have to go in from the front to begin with, this will be his way of entering.
Yep, so we know that there are 2 more items in Ice Palace. At least one is blocked by the hammer and the glove. SuperNinTaylor did not get to the first chest on the right side that he could have checked before he decided to end his dip, but that could have an item. But it's really looking like that Cold Stare play, maybe for the Moon Pearl, maybe... I mean, it's hard to imagine what else it could be. Maybe the bow, but yeah... We need some progression in Ice Palace.
Hitsuyan opting to come back over to Thieves Town rather, and see how this Hammer Peg game goes.
Yeah, he just wants to find some sort of resource to make what he is thinking the play is a little bit more palatable.
And I'm sure SuperNinTaylor's thinking, man, I wish I had that glove and that hammer just a little while ago while I was in Ice Palace.
So Hitsuyan only sees bombs there. He left them behind, but he's down to 1 bomb. In my opinion, it probably would have been a good play to grab those, because one place that you can never have too many bombs in this game is Ice Palace, even if you're only on 3 or 4 hearts. All right, so SuperNinTaylor back into Ice Palace, and Hitsuyan not far behind him.
SuperNinTaylor is definitely going to have to be mindful of his magic gauge. And seems that he got a very nice small magic pot drop there.
Yeah, there are a few in the beginning of the dungeon as you go down, like past the spot where you would bomb jump, that there is a small pot there. There's the two in the Stalfos room, the Stalfos Knight room. So you can get up a little bit while you're going down towards the bottom of the dungeon, but yeah, it's definitely not the... You don't want to be out of magic when you're getting to the bottom here.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have the fire rod and no bombos, you definitely need all 8 shots, unless you have half magic, to get the ice melted around Cold Stare. And if you manage to miss one of those shots, that is a huge time loss.
So I really am interested to see how SuperNinTaylor handles this. He, just came off the bomb jump failure. He could opt to do this but the vanilla way, but I think he probably will go for the bomb jump, even though he only has those 3 hearts. And he's making a liar out of me. Now, he's probably just hoping that the progression item he's looking for is on the right side here and that he does not have to kill Cold Stare quite yet. And that very well could be the case.
Oh, and a very, very nice full magic refill for SuperNinTaylor. Hitsuyan thinking about doing that bomb jump, opting to go back and forego the bomb jump here.
Yeah, it's really not an easy decision by any means. But we do have our second item and just a piece of heart, so whatever the last item is in here is going to be our progression item.
And just finding the compass in the vanilla big key chest, so it's looking more and more likely that Cold Stare has our progression for us.
And that pretty much confirms that Cold Stare has the intended progression item. So we shall see how Taylor routes this. He did not do the bomb jump, so he'll have to do the vanilla route.
Ooh, and he took a death there on that Ice Knight.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. He does have the option of, doing the sequence break up the mountain that Hitsuyan did, but without that hook shot, it's not as attractive. And of course, he does have the option to go to pod and find that hook shot. All right, so we have Hitsuyan making his way on his first dip here in Ice Palace, and SuperNinTaylor is going back down. I would imagine we do see the bomb jump this time.
Yeah, we did see SuperNinTaylor miss it on his first attempt down, so hopefully he will get it this time, and we'll actually get to Cold Stare the way the runners always intend it to be.
Okay, so notably with that little trouble he had there, he's down to 1 bomb, and he'll still be down to 1 bomb after this room. So he gets one shot, although with his 3 hearts, he doesn't really have much more than one shot either. Anyway, so.
Very nice bomb jump there from SuperNinTaylor.
Yeah, and he's just playing it safe in this room. Makes a lot of sense. You're about where you need to be. Let's make it safely to cold stare and then deal with what we have to deal with down there. Now with 3 hearts, they can take 1 hit from a falling ice pellet, but they cannot take any hits from one of the large puffs.
The large puffs from Cold Stare are one of the most punishing bosses or enemies in this game. And Hitsuyan, foregoing the bomb jump earlier, is doing the intended, or developer-intended, vanilla strats.
Yeah, and given where he was and what he had in front of him, it makes a lot of sense. It's probably not any faster to just restart the dungeon and bomb jump, so if he knows the way to do it, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think this is a smart play. Down to 1 heart, coming in, grabbing a fairy. Very safe idea here.
And now we see SuperNinTaylor starting his Cold Stare fight.
SuperNinTaylor taking this fight very slow and smooth. It's one of those deals of even if you take longer to kill him, it's going to be faster than taking a death trying to do it quickly. And getting a double hit there on one of the puffs.
Oh, and unfortunately, taking a death. The fight was going really well up until that moment, but man, it's really hard fight. And if you're basically an Oko, and Oko Cold Stare is not easy.
And that's definitely got to be frustrating for him. Hopefully, heading over to Pod, getting the hook shot. Not really sure what more that is going to do for him, but he may opt to go ahead and go up Death Mountain without the lamp, like Hitsuyan did.
Yeah, that would not surprise me one bit.
And Hitsuyan is about to drop down and take on Cold Stare himself.
So, movement patterns of the Cold Stare puffs, they would either go in one of the diagonal directions randomly, or they could also basically just charge at Link's current position at an increased rate. So when you're trying to manage a low percent Cold Stare fight, you keep that in mind. And we do see 1 puff down already for Hitsuyan.
Hitsuyan doing a very nice job of taking this slow and steady. And 2 puffs down. Got to start to think, and there's the 3rd one down. So good job for Hitsuyan there. Let's see what we get. There is the Moon Pearl, and that was the progression that we needed.
Yeah, that's pretty huge for Hitsuyan. That really opens up the seed now. Gives him quite an advantage moving forward. Basically, he has the entire light overworld, which, as you know from the regular rando, there are just a ton of items sitting there around the world to go collect. It's really nice fight from Hitsuyan.
And a very heads-up play there by Hitsuyan. That's one of the changes for inverted mode. That dark skull there has the portal to take you to Light World. We see the red goo with a bottle on the island. And let's see what Hobo has for us today. One full heart container.
Yeah, you're like, thanks, man, but couldn't you give that to me like 5 minutes ago? Could have really used it.
Yeah, it definitely would have made that Cold Stare fight a little easier. Or all of Ice Palace.
Yep, so what we're likely to see here is SuperNinTaylor doing the EDM checks just like Hitsuyan did a little while ago. Hitsuyan, meanwhile, is likely to just basically do what most runners would do in an open or standard seed in the first 10 minutes of the game, just doing all those overworld checks.
We got a map check from SuperNinTaylor in Light World, and it looks like we have the blue and the red pendant, Tower of Hera, and Desert Palace, with Eastern being a blue crystal.
Yeah, and I didn't catch that the first time up on here on Death Mountain, but we do have that mirror on Spectacle Rock, which is a funny location for it, but it's actually not that hard at all to get with the kit that Hitsuyan has. So we'll have to see. The mirror is a pretty important item in inverted mode. Gives you a lot of interesting access, so I wouldn't be surprised if he actually does EDM first after doing the sword check.
And we're getting the Zora check from Hitsuyan. We'll see if both of the fishes have an item for us. Blue mail. Another thing that would have been nice a little while ago.
So Hitsuyan is going up Death Mountain, as I theorized just a little bit ago, but SuperNinTaylor, not entirely sure what his plan is here. He is headed back towards the Village of Outcasts.
And I think SuperNinTaylor is going to find the hard way that you're not going to be able to do anything when you warp to Light World there unless you have the Moon Pearl.
Yeah, I think he just, is not entirely familiar with this mode, so he was hoping that he could find a way out here from the Cold Stare fight, but I think at this point he knows that he must face Cold Stare. But it looks like he's trying to see if he can do any other things here on Death Mountain. I don't think he's been to the east side yet, so maybe I think he'll find one heart over here while Hitsuyan gets the mirror.
Mirror is definitely going to make this a little easier to route in inverted mode. Lots of places. And look here, we have Quake inside Tower of Hera basement.
Yeah, so that guarantees that we can at least get in the door of Misery Mire now that we have both the mirror and all 3 medallions. And the hookshot. And Tower of Hera being a pendant and having gotten one item there, and I guess he would need to use the basement anyway. Hitsuyan's just saying, well, that's good for me.
Hitsuyan giving us the spiral cave check.
So, East Death Mountain in Inverted, we did get one hint from Mimic Cave, so they don't have to check that. But what it can end up being is just jumping down a whole bunch of times to mirror into various Turtle Rock entrances and to check Spiral Cave and, well, everything else. SuperNinTaylor getting his way over here to East Dark Death Mountain, opening up the front door to Turtle Rock. Maybe just to get a hint check while he's here.
Hopefully this hint will have something pointing him back to Cold Stare.
That is a familiar hint.
I believe we've seen that one already today.
Yeah, so opting to go back in to get up to 2 bombs here.
Speaking of bombs, it looks like Hitsuyan gets a ton of those over in Paradox Cave.
Yeah, and interestingly, he got the cane, I guess, in those checks as well. Has the mirror, but he's not doing any part of Turtle Rock while he's there. Interesting choice. He can do really most of the dungeon with what he has, but he also has a ton to check in the Light World, so I understand where he's coming from.
SuperNinTaylor making the play into Super Bunny Cave. Gonna pick up his Titan's Mitts here. And 43 minutes in, we are going to get our first check, finally, of Kakariko. And it looks like Cane of Burna in the back room there.
Yeah, so one item that SuperNinTaylor can get here in Logic is the floating island. He can also sequence break. If he can make it through, he can sequence break Spiral Cave, because when you fall as a bunny, that's what activates that Super Bunny state. But getting through Spiral Cave with a couple hearts as a bunny is no easy task.
Those mini troll dorms like to cause a lot of problems for the bunny. And SuperNinTaylor taking that death to that mini Moldorm. We'll see what decision he decides to make here. Sick Kid only having a heart container for us today.
And SuperNinTaylor making his way back to Ice Palace. We know this is his only way out, so hopefully it goes a little bit better for him this time.
And we see the silver arrows atop the library bookshelf.
Oh, we got the flute here in race game. Now, in inverted mode, the flute is a little bit less useful than it is in the regular modes, but in our current situation, it actually, I think, will be somewhat relevant in this seed, given the items that we have.
And for those of you unfamiliar with inverted mode, so the flute you do have to activate in Light World, per usual. However, the flute does work in Dark World now. It does not work in Light World. So that may be, well, with the Mire, we already had access to the Mire area, but this could speed things up possibly for us a little bit.
So one strat I've seen using the flute in inverted mode is in normal randomizer, one way that you can speed up the delivery of the purple chest is, you get it, you mirror, you flute to 7. What you can do in inverted mode is you get the purple chest and you flute to 6, and you can open up that portal, and then you can walk over from the other side. All right, SuperNinTaylor, couple rooms ahead, couple rooms away from his second attempt here at Cold Stare. And he was having a really good fight the first time. He just got a little bit trapped and didn't slash at the right time to get himself out of it. So I fully expect him to be able to get it done. But, still, everybody, send him your energy. He's going to need it.
As much as we love to keep hearing the bunny music in inverted mode, we do want him to go ahead and get this progression for his sake. SuperNinTaylor out for revenge on Cold Stare here. And the first puff goes down of the 3.
Keeping good control. One of the strats you can do in low percent is if you're at the top of the room, it makes the ice balls despawn. He was making use of that a little bit there.
Very nicely done by SuperNinTaylor. Very deserving Moon Pearl there.
Yep, and now he has his Light World access. He is a little bit behind Hitsuyan, but he's a great player, so let's see what he can do to catch up.
Over on Hitsuyan's side, we're seeing one of the changes. Just a big 20 up on Graveyard Ledge, but in inverted mode, there is a ladder there, so you don't have to use the mirror to access that Graveyard Ledge.
Yep, and while we were watching the trials of SuperNinTaylor with Cold Stare there. Hitsuyan has done a pretty good job of clearing out that first sphere of the light world. You know, he did all of Kakariko, Graveyard Ledge there, and the back of Escape. He had already done the Zora area right after Ice Palace, so he's just, you know, making his way here. Hasn't found an awful lot of progression, really. He found the flute and the Quake Medallion, but you know, this main world of the Light World has not given him all that much.
And I believe Hitsuyan is going to make that South Shore play. Let's see what we can get over there. More heart pieces and more heart containers inside a mini Moldorm cave there.
Yeah, he's seeing up to 10 hearts now. And, you know, sure, you have to do a 4-heart Cold Stare. Logically, a 3-heart Cold Stare, but, oh, sure, here, have all your hearts now that you're in the Light World.
And the boots inside of the dam.
Yeah, really nice find here for Hitsuyan. You're probably thinking, man, it would have been nice to get these before I went and did everything else in the Light World, but you can't be too upset when you finally find the boots.
And a very heads-up play here, routing in that check, or with that check, rather, the play into Swamp Palace.
Yeah, it's a fully clearable crystal dungeon for him, and checking it with the dam, this is a great routing decision.
Yeah, going along with that routing decision, I mean, Swamp Palace has 6 unique or potentially unique item checks in here. And on top of that, I kind of get the feeling that Swamp Palace is loaded.
Yeah, it does feel that way, and given what happened in their last race, I fully expect to see Hitsuyan get every item in here before he leaves. He could prove me wrong, but I don't think he's looking to leave an item behind at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of a fool me once, shame on you scenario. Fool me twice, shame on me.
So, not entirely sure what SuperNinTaylor found in the Dark Sewers chest there. And we do see an early big key in Swamp Palace, which is really nice if he's planning to full clear it.
And he is making the play directly to the back.
SuperNinTaylor managing to set up the Death Warp there in the dark to come back out and check the Sanctuary.
Some more bombs and another heart container for Hitsuyan.
Have we seen either the map or compass yet?
I don't believe so. Actually, I take that back. I believe we got the map in the bombable wall chest.
Okay, so either 1 or 2 items on the left side.
I'm sure Hitsuyan, in a way, is wanting to see Compass here on Argus. That way he gets the value play, potentially, going left side.
Yeah, I have to wonder, though, if you already had the big key and saw one of the map or compass, that's like the one specific situation where you know it would be faster if you are going to full clear regardless to just go ahead and do it. So I'll have to see what he's planning to do.
And a very nice Master Sword fight there from Hitsuyan. And there's the compass, so we do have 2 items over on left side.
And meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor is doing this Kakariko checks. Not a whole lot here. I think he'll find the Quake Medallion, and he will also... Oh, he just found the Cane of Burna. It will be interesting to see if or when Hitsuyan goes back to find the to grab the arrows out of the library.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something that's kind of weighing on the back of his mind. I'm sure he's very capable of doing Ganon Silverless. However, being level 2 sword, that obviously makes that fight a little tougher than with the Tempered Sword.
Oh, and SuperNinTaylor unfortunately has not yet found the bottles that Hitsuyan found before he went to Kakariko, so not able to check the Sick Kids item at this time.
And SuperNinTaylor getting that little bit of knowledge of knowing where the silver arrows are. And as Hitsuyan is making his way into the item portion of the left side of Swamp Palace, SuperNinTaylor will be picking up his flute here in the racing game.
So will left side Swamp have value today? For the second time for these runners, shall we say. Oh, we have a shovel?
The shovel.
So I guess that's to be determined.
Now Hitsuyan is definitely in a position where he could go route in that shovel check for the silvers as well, going up that way.
Yeah, and it looks like he's at least getting the shovel check in right now. And also getting the South of Grove cave. Can't really call it a ledge in inverted mode.
The VT in the grass is a nice little touch there.
Yep. Opting to go grab the silver arrows first. This would seem to indicate that he's just planning to head right back down towards the Guinness cave after he checks the shovel spot. All right, so SuperNinTaylor looks to be headed towards the dam himself. Let's see. Once he gets his boots, will he make the same play Hitsuyan did and do a full clear of Swamp Palace?
Hitsuyan showing off the shovel dash there for us. Just picking up a heart piece though at the digging spot. Yeah,
so having every item to full clear Swamp Palace, it kind of felt like there might be something there, but we kind of needed all those items to do, besides the mirror anyway, to do Ice Palace. So maybe that was our value.
Hitsuyan making the play to finally check on our uncle down here in the sewers.
Oh, I said maybe SuperNinTaylor would do Swamp Palace, but he can't because he did not get that mirror off of Death Mountain quite yet.
SuperNinTaylor does pick up his boots here though, so he may go ahead and route back in that check to go get the silver arrows.
And Hitsuyan continuing on to the front of Escape here. I think there's one or two more items. He does have the small key already, so it must be at least two.
And since SuperNinTaylor did check that the cross room of sewers in the dark, we don't know what that was yet.
Oh, chat informing us that it was half magic, which now that we mention it, that is the one item that SuperNinTaylor has on.
Yes.
So SuperNinTaylor over here at Ice Rod Cave, kind of missing out on the chance to check the hint here. If you come and check this with the mirror, there's actually a hint tile in the Dark World, in the what was formerly known as the Dev Cave over here.
I have to say, I think that might be the least checked hint tile in V30.
Alright, so SuperNinTaylor did set up a water walk and looks to be checking the island. And given that that's his first bottle, he does opt to pick it up before going on to Hobo.
Hitsuyan making that dark cross play now, and if he manages to get to that chest, he'll be rewarded with that half magic.
So I'm really wondering where our next progression is. We do have the entire Palace of Dark, well, the entire Eastern Palace area. Palace of Darkness is currently bow locked. We have a lot of Turtle Rock available.
That's true. We also do have that green pendant in hand, so we could turn that into Sahasrahla while they make a potential Eastern Palace check.
Yeah, very true. There is a lot of value towards Eastern Palace, and it looks to me like Hitsuyan is making his way there now.
Let's see what Sahashala has for us today. Looks like just a small heart piece. And the red mail and blue boomerang in the back of the closet.
So a couple nice items, but nothing that progresses us further in this seed. It looks like Hitsuyan is not electing to check Eastern Palace at this time. Instead, heads on over to the Mire area. He has Mire Shed here, and looks like
I believe
Bombos.
that was Bombos. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good. So a very required Bombos this seed.
And the Tempered Sword over in the Mire Shed.
So it would be a sequence break, but Hitsuyan can full clear Misery Mire at this point if that's what he chooses to do.
Now, one of the other changes here in inverted mode, he's over in the Desert Palace area. You no longer can access Desert Palace with the mirror. The book is the hard requirement for that Desert Palace. Obviously, probably not something that's high on his priority list due to it being a pendant, though.
Yeah, and a lot of inverted seeds, that book can potentially turn into like an ice rod, as in like that last item you're looking for all over the world just to finish the seed.
As if we didn't need another or a second ice rod, rather.
Yeah. So if the big key in Mire is fire locked, then Hitsuyan would not be able to complete the dungeon. But basically, he has about a 2/3 chance of being able to, if he wanted to. With that Tempered Sword, it does make it a little bit easier than what he was facing when he was on Master.
SuperNinTaylor making his way over to East Death Mountain. Finally, hopefully, we'll pick up that mirror. But we'll see if he decides to make the play and go into Turtle Rock.
Yeah, at this point, he is the Swamp Palace play behind, but he is almost up to item parity. So if the next progression is indeed within Turtle Rock, he could find himself caught right back up as far as the item progression goes. We do see Hitsuyan making his way here through Misery Mire.
Hitsuyan in that situation where you don't want to see an early big key here. And the first item is just 10 arrows.
Yeah, obviously not the item he's looking for, but at the same time, finding an item really early is great. It limits the chance that the left side is required and that he would have to come back if, for a stray item.
Absolutely.
But even though he doesn't have a fire source, he still needs to come over to this side to hit the switch to get the other couple of chests on the right side that he can get.
And SuperNinTaylor picking up his Quake medallion. He is still unsure on what Mire is. So very valuable for him at the moment, but he'll find out soon that he did not quite need that.
Yep, and we do find the big key here in the big room chest. So there are 2 more item locations here on the right that Hitsuyan can check, and he can sequence break down to Vitreous if he elects to do so.
Just a small key in that big chest. And another small key in that chest. So it looks like either Vitreous is going to have that item or the left side is going to have it.
So on the plus side for Hitsuyan, in any case, he will be able to get the crystal here. The downside is if there is an item on the left side and it happens to be important, it might end up being one of the last places he ends up checking. Oh, we see SuperNinTaylor climbing up Paradox Cave again here. He might be making that Turtle Rock play.
And it does look like he is indeed making that Turtle Rock play to get to the laser bridge.
And from this entrance, you can actually backtrack all the way to the beginning of the dungeon. The only location that you would be isolating would be the big chest.
And there's the lamp on Laser Bridge.
And the fire rod. So our laser bridge is lit.
Indeed.
So this is even more item locations in Turtle Rock to check here. Basically, you can check everything in Turtle Rock right now except for Trinex. We just don't know what order you have to check it in because the big key can be just about anywhere. Okay, you can clear Turtle Rock. I should just stop talking because it's just going to change before I'm even done with my sentence.
Fire and Ice Rod, both in Turtle Rock. This game sometimes.
Yep, so SuperNinTaylor needs to find the big key, and he'll be able to, you know, honestly, if he finds the big key, the best play, as long as he also has a small key, is to just mirror back and clear it, because that would put him right in the front of the dungeon to check the rest of it. If he were to find the big key before, you know, getting back there the normal way.
And Hitsuyan doing a very nice job taking out Vitreous, getting that second item from Mire, so he has basically fully cleared this. And I know things looked very bleak early on for SuperNinTaylor, but with this Turtle Rock play paying off so well, this has actually brought him back into the thick of things.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the only item we really don't know the location of is the bow. Unless I'm forgetting something here.
Yeah, with Desert being pendant, I think all we really need is a bow.
So, if SuperNinTaylor does not go to Swamp before finding the bow, that's a go mode dungeon that he could make up time with.
Go mode Swamp is definitely one of the fastest or biggest places, I guess I should say, to make up time versus that full clear that Hitsuyan did.
Yep, SuperNinTaylor is quite a few checks behind though, so quite a few dungeons behind. So even if he does find those items, he still has a little bit of catch up to do. And you know, there's still 2 items here in Turtle Rock. It might not be done giving us value.
Hitsuyan giving us that southeast Dark World hint tile location. Sadly, it is only a joke hint for us. And SuperNinTaylor picking up the big key there for Turtle Rock and doing a death warp to get back to the laser bridge.
Now, SuperNinTaylor is on Master Sword Silver list right now, but he does know where the silver arrows are. So if he never finds the Tempered Sword, I would fully expect him to get the silver arrows and not be in that bad a shape.
And King's Tomb only having a bloopy for us.
So SuperNinTaylor having a little bit of trouble here with Hammer Trinex. But opting to use that red potion seems like a good idea. He was down to 1 heart and a lot of ice on the floor, so...
And that second head goes down and we'll enter that final stage of Trinex.
Alright, Trinex goes down. We still have 2 items in here.
And just 10 arrows on Trinex. So now we'll see if SuperNinTaylor makes the play over to the big chest now that he has the big key.
And meanwhile, Hitsuyan is doing the Smith chain, grabbing the Smith. We'll get him turned in here. So I think SuperNinTaylor wants to get to the big chest, but he forgot for a second the way he had to go about that. Now he remembers going through the portal here, and then he'll be able to jump down to where Mimic Cave is and Mire there. There we go.
Chat bringing up a good point. Logically, we could see Bo on Ped. So Ped isn't fully dead yet.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So I think we still are looking for that last item. And I believe there was a hint from Mimic Cave. I think that was all the way back in Ice Palace, and given what happened in Ice Palace, I don't fault SuperNinTaylor at all for not remembering. So I'm not sure if I must have miscounted or Taylor miscounted or what happened there, but Taylor is leaving to come back here towards Village of Outcasts. making the Swamp or Skullwoods play makes a lot of sense. It's something he has to do anyway, and I believe there is one item left, so it could very well be that bow we're looking for.
And I believe Hitsuyan is finally making the play over into Turtle Rock.
Yep, so Hitsuya might be kicking himself a little bit for not doing this the first time he was up here, but at least he's getting those items now, and he'll be able to do just what we saw SuperNinTaylor do, which was full clear this dungeon, getting Ice Rod, Fire Rod, and the lamp.
SuperNinTaylor dropping in for the Mothula fight. Mothula not wanting to cooperate today, staying up in that top part, but SuperNinTaylor finally takes him down to get his second bottle and that second item out of Skullwoods. Still no bow, though.
Yep, still no bow. SuperNinTaylor catches up on the crystal count, albeit a pretty quick crystal, but still matters. And Hitsuyan showing us some frustration slashes with that Ice Rod.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe both players have gone over to Sahasrahla, but yet neither one of them have gone into Eastern Palace. We could still see the bow show up in there.
Yep, it still very well could be a vanilla bow, in which case it looks like that might be the last place that Hitsuyan ends up checking. Now, it does look like SuperNinTaylor is making the logical play, but not the play that we wanted to see him make, which is go towards Swamp Palace.
It'll be interesting to see here if SuperNinTaylor, if he potentially feels behind, forgoes that left side check. Definitely will speed things up, since we do know that it's just shovel, and that led to nothing.
So we have Eastern Palace for the potential bow location. We also have the second item in Tower of Hera as a potential bow location.
Yeah, absolutely. Both the runners dipped in, grabbed that Quake Medallion, and left, thinking, I got my progression from here. I doubt anything else is going to be here, so I'm going to leave.
We also picked up the Cane of Burna, which puts the Spike Cave into logic. So there are a few locations left to find this bow that we haven't seen yet, but it really is just going to come down to who gets there first. But right now, I imagine we're going to see both runners retracing the other one's footsteps. Hitsuyan here in Turtle Rock, and then probably Skullwoods, whereas SuperNinTaylor is now in Swamp Palace. Will likely follow that up with a trip to the Mire area.
Hitsuyan going into the Trinex fight with the Tempered Swords, so he may have a slight leg up on this fight compared to when SuperNinTaylor did it.
with the tempered sword, much smoother fight. As you can see, don't have to switch items between the rods. Just use the rods, use your sword, and get through that first phase pretty quickly.
And making very quick work of the final phase of Trinex.
You know, if it does turn out to be the second item in Tower of Hera, this is one of those seeds where you might have been like, man, I wish I picked all dungeons because I would have found that bow about an hour ago.
Absolutely.
SuperNinTaylor starting off with the quick kill strats in Argus, but just having a little trouble with the poke dashes. Really impressive with Master Sword because you have to like double poke each puff, and he's getting really good there, but lost it a couple times too. Still really fast Master Sword Argus phase 1.
Very nice job from SuperNinTaylor. I think that's about as good of a fight as you could possibly get on Argus with the Master Sword.
Yeah, really impressive. Well done. Getting his crystal here, that makes his 4th. For the moment anyway, that puts him in a crystal tie, although the dungeon he has ahead is a little bit longer than what Hitsuyan is doing, plus he is coming back in for the left side here.
And now it's Hitsuyan's turn to take on the big bad moth.
Well done. We're getting his 5th crystal. I'd imagine he has the Hera play, the Eastern Palace play, the Spike Cave play. One of those is going to be his next destination. We'll just have to see where he goes. Or the Pyramid Fairy play. That's one I didn't call out, but we did see that as an option here with Turtle Rock being done.
And he could very well be making that play right now.
Yep. So one of the few location checks done or changes done in Inverted is to swap Link's house with the bomb shop. So the bomb shop is just sitting here in the light world.
Also in inverted mode, this check is much smoother. Just walking straight up, not having to worry about the hammer pegs on that bridge, and just mirroring up here to get to the pyramid.
And just some heart pieces here in the Pyramid Fairy, so no luck.
And I do believe Hitsuyan is making that Eastern Palace play now.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most item-dense location left, and if the bow is here in its vanilla location, then you're right where you want to be when you hit go mode. So makes a lot of sense, and we'll have to see. So Taylor did pick up his Tempered Sword in the Mire shed, and now looks to be going into Mystery Mire. So as a quick recap for those of us joining us while we are in this bow search, this seed started out with a required 3 or 4 heart green male Master Sword Cold Stare fight with no fire run to get your Moon Pearl for Dark World access. Then later in the seed we find out that the Laser Bridge has both fire sources and the Ice Rod is also in Turtle Rock.
I don't think you could script it any better than that.
So it looks like SuperNinTaylor is having a little bit of trouble here with the inverted logic, mirroring a little bit in some other places, and then realizing now, thankfully, that he doesn't have to go that way in the Dark World. He can just come right up here and mirror from the front of the castle. Alright, so our last hope in Eastern Palace is for the pure vanilla bow with the vanilla big key.
Just a big 20. So that puts Tower of Hera in play for that second item, potentially being the bow.
Yeah, as far as I can think of, it's either the second item in Tower of Hera or Spike Cave. Could be something that we're forgetting, but that might be it.
Well, it looks like we're going to get that Spike Cave play right now from Hitsuyan, and we may be getting it with SuperNinTaylor as well. And there's the bow, finally, at 1 hour, 34 minutes. Hitsuyan has hit go mode.
Well, this has been a seed so far. Hitsuyan finding that bow. He needs to finish up Palace of Darkness and Eastern Palace here. And then this is not an all-dungeon seed for once in this tournament, so he'll have to just go and finish Ganons Tower at that point. So meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor is coming here through Mire. We know he will not be finding what he's looking for here, but he has done a good job of making up some time and catching up after that rough start. Because I'm sure he'd be the first to tell you that was not the way he wanted to start this seed. So coming back to where he is right now, just a dungeon behind, not too bad.
Yeah, most definitely. The earlier Turtle Rock play by SuperNinTaylor definitely probably got him back into it in his own mind, helped maybe shake off some potential tilt that he was having, but it looks like unless something catastrophic happens, Hitsuyan has this one pretty much in the palm of his hand. Yeah,
he is in go mode, and he does already have a dungeon lead, so SuperNinTaylor has more checks than just Spike Cave left as well. So it really does seem like this is Hitsuyan's to lose at this point.
SuperNinTaylor checking the left side of Mire. Unfortunately, we know neither item is over here. However, we do have a hint tile over here, and that very well could point him to the direction of the bow.
And there we have the cape. So, bow in Spike Cave, blocking the cape on Armos Knights. Very nice. So wouldn't it be something if this hint points him towards the bow?
The boots is near a water switch.
Yeah, I forgot we hadn't seen that boots hint yet, which means it was probably either here or maybe in Agate Tower, or I guess Desert Palace too. But yeah, there is guaranteed to be some hint for the boots somewhere, and that was it here in Misery Mire.
Hitsuyan going through Palace of Darkness here. Now, it was bow locked, so he still has to find the big key.
Has to find the big key and have one small key left. So different runners have different theories here. We do know that there's only one non-key left in the last 3 chests here in the front. So a lot of runners would just go straight to the back. Maybe check this chest. And then others would do what Hitsuyan's doing, which is, I'm not going to full clear the back of this dungeon if the big key's sitting right up here.
And I think Hitsuyan is doing about as well as he can as far as routing all of these checks in one pass. There's our mushroom.
Definitely not required this seed. SuperNinTaylor setting up the spooky glitch and making it through his rooms here. Nicely done. Needs to be a little bit careful here. He had an accidental poke on one of the small eyeballs, which caused him to lose his charge, which pretty much got him off rhythm for the right side of the fight, but got it back on target here. Just needs to be careful with the large eyeball.
And while SuperNinTaylor is dispatching a Vitreous, Hitsuyan has picked up that Palace of Darkness big key and is on his way to Helmasaur.
Alright, so SuperNinTaylor getting his 5th crystal and can't get any more of them right now, so it really is just a matter of where he decides to go. We know he needs to get the Spike Cave as soon as possible to get his bow, but he has a lot of checks left that Hitsuyan had already completed, so we'll have to see. Hitsuyan having a little bit of a turtle party here in Pod, but getting him down okay now.
And SuperNinTaylor picking up his big 20 over in Agina's cave. We'll see where he goes next.
You know, I'm not surprised to see SuperNinTaylor flute away there, but yeah, when you see him starting at that location, you're just hoping that he turns up the mountain to go to Spike Cave. Alright, well, with that, Hitsuyan has picked up his 7th crystal and will be making his way to Ganon's Tower. There's a fun little game we like to play on Speed Gaming and just in Randomizer in general. It's which chest or item location in the basement of Ganon's Tower will have that big key. I think we actually can run the game here, so let's start it. So Dante, where do you think that big key is going to be?
I'm going to go with chest 5.
Chest 5. That's a nice early one. That would be nice for what this seed has put him through.
I think they deserve something nice after the way this seed's been.
I think that's very fair. You know what? I won't be quite that nice, but I'm going to go with 8. Still pretty early.
And Hitsuyan showing us here one of the biggest changes for Inverted. We didn't get to see Aga 1. Aga 1 is actually where Ganon's Tower normally is. But as we see here, we go in the Aga 1 entrance and get it unlocked by those 7 crystals for Ganon's Tower.
We're starting with 2 small keys here in Ganon's Tower. He's going to elect to keep going on to the right side. SuperNinTaylor, meanwhile, is finishing up the Smith chain. Also checking hammer pegs, which Hitsuyan actually checked as a sequence break while he was trying to avoid the Ice Palace play a long time ago, it seems.
The way this seed's panned out for these guys, that felt like an eternity ago. And no big key on the right side, sans tile room.
So Hitsuyan grabs the extra key here and goes back to the left. Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor does seem to be checking something up here up north. Probably the boot spots. I don't think he's checked those yet.
And we finally have our desert access that we don't need.
Yeah, still coming up empty on that big key, though. We're up to, I think, 11. This should be 12.
And there it is, number 12.
And congratulations to Otaku Tom for getting that right. So Hitsuyan's making his way up here, climbing Ganon's Tower, getting through the Mimic Rooms. SuperNinTaylor is looking to turn in that purple chest.
And Hitsuyan starting his gauntlet play.
All right, so what are you going to do after this, Taylor?
I'm hoping for his sake, he decides to either go... Maybe Hera's on his mind, so he'll route in Spike Cave while he's on the way up there?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think he's done the front of Escape. He hasn't done Eastern Palace. I think there's just a lot that he has left.
I believe you're right.
Just missing the one cycle there on land mode 2, but finishing up quickly on cycle 2 there. Alright, so SuperNinTaylor making its way towards the north light world. When he was up here, I don't think he checked Lumberjack Cave, so he might be giving us a check at that.
I do believe Hitsuyan peeked into Lumberjack Cave, but I missed what that was. So we'll see what that was right here. Just a big 20.
Yep, and the search continues for SuperNinTaylor. Hitsuyan getting close to the end here, has the torch room here, mini helmet room, and we'll be on to Moldorm 2 in just a minute. SuperNinTaylor pulling out that flute. And again, making a play that not surprised to see at all makes a lot of sense, but unfortunately we know it's not the right one for him to find the bow.
Hitsuyan dispatching of Moldorm 2 rather quickly, and we'll proceed to our favorite geometry boss.
Yeah, she get 2 hits in there on the first cycle. I think those blue balls on the cycles 2 and 3 kind of messed with his rhythm there.
Yeah, most definitely. Showing about 3 total hits, picking up the 4th here. And down goes Aga 2.
And much like this is the front of Ganon's Tower, the bat here will crash right into the top of the castle, and that's where you drop in to fight Ganon.
And with Tempered Sword and Silver Arrows, I do expect Hitsuyan to do a very nice job here with Ganon.
Yep, not electing to go for the one-on-one strats, but making good use of his cape here. Should get a 2-in-1 pretty easily.
And yes, we did find those light arrows, or silver arrows in Light World.
Hitsuyan was trying to set up the triple there, missed the right torch a little bit. No big deal, he'll get it cleaned up here in a hurry.
Running dangerously low on magic, but he gets that final hit in on Ganon, and down goes the pig. Get your GGs in chat for Hitsuyan.
And Hitsuyan finishes in first place with a time of 1:53.40. Really nice run for him. And it really, most of this race came down to Hitsuyan taking down Cold Stare, really just having an overall efficient first and only dip into Ice Palace. And joining us here to chat is Hitsuyan, the winner. GG.
Thank you, GG's.
So, what did you pick here, my man?
Oh, I was very happy that I first tried on Cold Stare. Yeah, that was very lucky. And
Yeah.
I think all important items was on Death Mountain, and after the mirror I skipped T-Rock, but I think about it, but I fell already behind and skipped it. That was unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, you did just about everything you could before committing to Ice Palace, but the thing is, once you got to Ice Palace, you cleared the whole thing in one go, and that was really the difference.
What happened to SuperNinTaylor?
He had a rough go of it in Ice Palace. He went in the first time without the Glover Hammer. Second time he went in, I think at that point he just died to Cold Stare on the second dip, and he had a couple. I think he had an extra death in there somewhere, and then he finally did clear Cold Stare eventually. But he had at that point done similar to you, which was do everything he could in sequence and out of sequence.
Yeah, I dodged Ice Palace at the start because I sequence break to Death Mountain and was hoping for some hearts or something like that. And after I saw the hint, boss have a unique item, I know that I have to defeat Colts there.
So on the stream, we see SuperNinTaylor is now entering Spike Cave, so he will be finding that bow here momentarily. So yeah, you pretty much summed up the seed. It was Ice Palace and Turtle Rock more than anything. The bow in Spike Cave was like a cherry on top, I suppose.
Yeah, everything was on Death Mountain, or the last 4 items for me. Both rods, lamp and bow.
And we do see on the stream, SuperNinTaylor, with bow in hand, is heading over to Eastern Palace and Palace of Darkness.
And it appears as if, given that Hitsuyan has finished, SuperNinTaylor is standing still on his menu here. We might be getting a forfeit.
And he just reset his timer, so I believe that does indicate that he wants to forfeit this.
And that is entirely understandable, given how this seed went for him. Makes complete sense. Hitsuyan's finished. He still has 2 crystals to get, plus Ganons Tower. No shame in throwing in the towel here, looking for the next match. Really good performance from both of our runners today.
And I believe SuperNinTaylor may be joining us. We'll have to see if he wants to do an interview.
And SuperNinTaylor is joining us. GG, sorry about how that Ice Palace went for you.
Yeah, it happens. That's too bad. I went in overconfident, I guess, and it kind of backfired a little bit. Yeah.
A three heart cold stare fight is nothing to be ashamed of. Taking a death with cold stare, just one basically an Oko, as Korek was mentioning earlier in the stream. It's a very tough play to make.
Yeah, it was a really difficult start to the seed, and props to Hitsuyan for being able to do well at the so he's obviously a really dangerous runner in this group, so I think it's going to be a really hype group. I think it's going to be a close race for the top 2.
Yeah, thank you. But I was very lucky.
I wouldn't call it luck. I knew it was going to be a tough match coming into it. I've watched you play, and you're really good.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks. But what was it? Yeah, I think it was a good choice picking the what is it called again? Inverted against me too. I don't have a ton of practice on it, so that was a pretty smart play as well.
So going forward, Hitsuyan, is your strategy going to be picking inverted on all of your opponents, or are we keeping that under wraps to see what you decide as the opponents come up?
I think I will pick it versus everyone, but not versus Gem. Versus Gem, only normal open and gamble for a win.
I against Gem, you gotta pick like open normal or something, and just hope to out route him or go to the right places before him. He's tough to beat on execution for sure.
Yeah, so Taylor, you picked. I think in your previous match it was standard all dungeons. Is that going to be what you're looking for going forward in your group stage matches for your picks?
It's probably going to be mostly that. I've been bouncing back and forth with the whole Key Sanity thing. I'm not a huge... I've never been a huge fan of Key Sanity, but at the same time, it's less punishing for checking more overworld locations, because there's a lot more keys in the overworld. So it's hard to say. I'm still thinking about it.
So I believe you guys have the game 3 with random settings scheduled. What did you guys end up with? You want to tell the audience here?
Oh, geez. We had a what is it called? Retro, All Dungeons Retro.
All Dungeons Retro, and when is that? Tomorrow?
It is tomorrow, I think. Isn't it? Hitsuyan, is it the same time as our first match today?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. I think that was 3:30 p.m. Eastern.
So these two runners put on a great show for us tonight. Be sure to drop them a follow. But if you like what you saw, you don't have to wait too long. Just 3:30 Eastern tomorrow. They'll be playing an All Dungeons Retro seed for you. So any final thoughts on this seed or either of your matchups or your group or anything else that you want to share with the audience before we let you go? Hitsuyan, you can go first.
Yeah, thanks for watching, and thanks for commentating, tracking, and the other stuff. I have nothing more to say, and GG's again to SuperNinTaylor.
Yeah, GG, we're 1-1, so we're going into the hype tiebreaker race tomorrow, which is going to be pretty sweet.
We will draw it, maybe.
And like I said, what's that? Say again?
We will draw it, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's... Like I said earlier, I think this is going to be a really hype group. Right when I saw the reveal for it, I thought this could potentially be one of the groups of death, or the group of death. And so far it's looking really even, so I'm kind of excited to see how this plays out. But yeah, thanks for commentating and tracking and all that stuff. And I look forward to doing it again tomorrow.
It was our pleasure. GG's to both of you putting on a great show for us here tonight.
Yeah, and my best.
I do want to say GG's to my co-commentator, Dante. If you would believe it or not, people in the audience, this was his first commentary, and it was just a delight to have you with me in the booth here. Just a great job all around. A lot of fun. A lot of thanks to our runners for putting on a great show.
Yeah, it was great to have such an entertaining first match to do commentary. So I was glad to have Correct and Reggio tracking for us. So very fun. Hope to do this a lot more. And thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, and with that, everybody, have a great night. There are all sorts of races tonight, tomorrow, and over the next groups. We still have another 5 weeks, so buckle in. We got a lot coming for you. Have a great night.